Well, if we've come in here, like, to clarify for listeners, we're having quite a day, and I've been delayed at work for reasons I won't get into, but amusing reasons nonetheless. And then we just about to start the recording, and we nearly just went without hitting record. So between those two things, it's been real successful podcasting. Has there been much feedback on? I saw some comments this morning, but last week's episode went up today. And has there been feedback on the fact that we were like, should be a quick one, and then it was 58 minutes long?
There was a little bit, but I think because it was about 30 minutes, 40 minutes of actual talk about the trailer as predicted, and that the extension was that we added a bunch of Avengers trailer talk, I think people have sort of, saw the logic. Yeah, people. I think it's harder to. If we'd have talked about that trailer for the whole time, I think that would have been a really fair complaint, or not complaint, but like thing to point out. But I think most people were just like, "Oh, I see what's happened here." But
well, this week is Stephen's Line, which was actually my choice for a rewatch.
I feel weird that we didn't do a proper hello and welcome to. Should I feel?
Oh, sorry.
Should we?
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Dan. Tell you what. Run the titles.
Well done.
And here we are. Welcome to Stephen University.
I still didn't get to do hello and welcome.
What is it? Is it always got to be you? All right, fine. Go for it.
It's just that's how I feel like we're doing the podcast.
I've
done it for nearly 200 episodes. I feel like
That's fair. In that case, roll the Dan.
Hello and welcome to Stephen University. This week we'll of course be discussing Stephen's Lion. There you go. I feel like we started properly.
Well, I felt the confusion came because you waited until we recorded to say something about being late, so I didn't know if you were trying to weave it so that we started with that. Or,
no,
or
it was something we were having a conversation about it, and that was a point I was going to make, but we got sidetracked. Then we started recording, and then I remembered the thing I wanted to say.
Oh,
and said it, but
right,
that's fine.
Fair enough.
Anyway,
so Stephen's Line. So I messaged Dan and I was like, rewatch episode Stephen's Line, and Dan was like, sure. So I don't know if that episode was in your mind for a rewatch, but it's obviously the introduction of Lion, and I was very keen to see like if there were a lot of hints and like remind myself how Lion was introduced. And then I watched the episode and I was like, it's just a lot of cool Lion banter actually. Like, I'm not sure how different this conversation is going to be to whatever it was last time. But I really enjoyed the episode. Do you want to recap it for those that don't remember, Daniel?
Sure. I mean, I'm scared to after last time we did one of these. I don't know how much abuse I'm going to take for following my recap, but I'll give it a go.
Well, make it better,
Fucking dickhead.
Was that the video where someone commented and they were like, Chris and Dan really like each other? Something like that.
Anyway. Oh dear. It's called chemistry, guys. Me and Chris have it. Anyway, so this is Stephen's Line. So the basic premise of the episode is they go out to the desert to find a gem that controls the sand. Stephen is asked randomly, despite them bringing him out there, they then are like, stay, and they make him stay while they go off to do the actual gem stuff. It's like, here's a desert, now stay while we do the important things. So he gets left in the desert, he bumps into Lion, he's like, immediately acts like him and Lion are best friends, even though the Lion is ambivalent to him at best. He then leaves the Lion and goes home with everyone, and Lion follows him home, and to which he thinks Lion loves him. But then he discovers that it's very possible that Lion simply just wants the thing they got from the desert that was making all the sand move. So he falls out with Lion because Lion abandoned him. The fish stew pizza. That's a whole side plot of sorts. And then he throws the gem thing out into
covering up that you forgot it. Like, oh, that's a side plot. Don't worry about that. B story. That is.
I feel like I'm never going to be able to recap anything ever again. I think I'm too in my head. I think you broke me, Chris. I used to be able to do this. I know I could do this because I did this 2 years ago and it was fine. He throws the gem out into the sand to be like, fine, you can have your stupid thing, and then it reacts to the sand like it did in the desert, and it starts building all these spires and stuff. Stephen tries to stop it, and he immediately gains the assistance of Lion, and he's like, "You are my best friend after all." And then it's like, "Can I keep him?" It's like, "Yeah, why not? We kept Amethyst," and then the episode ends on that rather mean-spirited joke. So yeah, that's Stephen's Lion.
There are some great jokes throughout. I loved the Amethyst one and how like oddly jarring it was. It didn't really feel in keeping with the gems now, but was just really funny. You're pregnant, and I bet Steven's not even pregnant, still made me laugh as much as they did the first time. I thought it's legitimately funny. And yeah, I really enjoyed this episode on rewatch. There's some really good action pieces. I think all the animation and the what happens at the end is really nicely animated. I think there's good moments of humor. I think the only thing, if it's not really fair, but the only thing I was not disappointed by, but like surprised by, was that I wasn't, and maybe I just missed the things. But I wasn't watching it going, oh, of course, Lion would do that because of course, there was a close affection, like Lion just drapes his arm over him and is like, let's go to sleep. So there's a clear level of comfort, which I assume comes from the fact that Lion recognizes Stephen as Rose. But that's it for kind of hints. There's also a really weird bit where Lion kind of talks and says yes, which was particularly like because I watched this episode with Jess next to me because she had picked me up to avoid me being later. Bless her. Thank you, Jess, even though you're probably not listening. And I like that you said probably. Oh, I still keep saying to when we've got like a couple of days, like if we're sometime after Christmas, hopefully, if we have a weekend where like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we have no plans, I am going to be like, look, let's sit down and do a couple of hours of Steven Universe to try and get her into it. And I think if she watched those, she would probably listen to this.
Yeah, I think once you get up to sort of, to be honest with you, you start to, the show becomes pretty enjoyable by like this point. Like you don't begrudge watching it. You still don't appreciate it for what it becomes here, but this is the point in which like you're quite happy to just keep watching it because it's like it's fine. There's nothing wrong with this show. It's funnish, I guess. And then obviously falling in love with it happens a little bit later. But this is around this point is that like the Bubble Buddies and this, but this little area of the show is kind of the point you'll start to like enjoy it. And I think a lot of people are sold by the time they get to Giant Woman.
Someone should do like an order to watch it in specifically where you kind of have different introduction episodes and cut out filler. That'd be good. Hey, Kat, I'm joking. Loving your work.
Why would you invoke that debate again? Poor Kat's had enough shit from us, I think.
Hey, I'm very complimentary of the Flood Order. Kat knows that. So the... she's probably thinking, "Oh God, don't do it again."
But also, I mean, we weren't though, were we? I mean, we were very much like we fundamentally disagree with this on.
No, without starting again, I was way more up for it than I would legitimately consider using the Flood Order to get Jess into the show, and I think I said that on the Flood Order episode as well.
I feel like you didn't, but that's cool.
So,
I
Anyway.
Now Kat sort of speaks to us sometimes through the chat or whatever. Chris has changed his tune a little bit. That's fine. I've
not changed my tune. I was way more complimentary of the Flood Order than you were. Way more willing to accept it.
Yeah, but I think you said several times I'm playing devil's advocate here. I fundamentally agree with you.
That was just to stop you yelling at me. So anyway, I'm sat next to Jess whilst I'm watching it, right? Yes. And I out loud just went, "Lion doesn't talk." And you can see her rolling her eyes like that fucking show. But like I was when Lion's literally just like, yes, I was like, what the fuck's that? So that was quite jarring. But overall, I had a good time.
Yeah, I mean,
What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think my thoughts.
Were you surprised by the lack of hinting and future echoing of?
Yeah, this is like, I think this is my second time seeing it in a post Wanted world, where obviously we learn that Lion belonged to Rose. Oh, it might not be actually. You know what? This might be my first time seeing it since Wanted. Depends when Wanted.
Yes, well, that's knowing that Lion used to be dead. You find out that Lion belonged to Rose way before Wanted, because you've got the discovery of her things in his head and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean the dead thing then. Yeah, I guess that information has come to Wanted. I don't think we knew that yet here. So how Lion got pinked, I suppose, is to sort of try and find a phrasing for it. I don't think I knew that even when we watched this last time. So I was like you, looking out for some sort of hints and stuff, but I guess they hadn't really quite settled on enough of the details yet to place hints in at this early stage, which is a bit unlike the show, but like not unacceptable.
There's no hints, not even the pink stuff. There's no real hints that he belonged to Rose, like, or that he knows Stephen or feels a connection with Stephen for that reason. Like, he literally just comes across as a vaguely mysterious. They do a lot of glowy eye stuff, which, as far as I'm aware, they kind of drop.
Yeah, from a design perspective, Lion's glowy eyes sort of the use of that reduces to almost nothing. It doesn't. You don't see it that much these days.
Did you find the yes moment jarring? Or was that just me?
It just sounded like a roar to me.
Oh, I thought the implication was that he was sort of saying yes. Listen to it back now. You got the episode up in front of you?
I mean, I can do.
Yeah, you should.
I mean, fucking hell. Well, won't the real test be if I can look in the transcript and it says Lion yes?
Yeah.
If the person who transcribed the episode decided that's what was said. So let's find out if Lion speaks dialogue in this episode.
Well, you need to listen to it as well to see if you think I'm going nuts.
It's right towards the end you're talking about, right?
Yeah. When he says something like you do care, or you will be my best friend, or something like that. Stephen's riding him.
It's not the bit where Stephen moves his lips, I'm guessing. And says, I want to stay with you forever.
No. Man, do you want me to try and get up the moment I'm talking about?
Yeah, can you... I don't know if you can find it, because I'm having trouble locating the moment. I am curious to see if that's a thing, though, or if you're a crazy person.
Which I'm willing to accept as a possibility.
How far into the episode is it? What's just happened?
It's right towards the end, but here, let me get it up.
Yeah, no, I can't. This is
podcast. Well, we'll see. Search the transcript for yes as well.
Yeah, I couldn't find it.
Okay.
I mean, that sounded like a roar to me.
Yeah, that's a roar. Hold on. I might be going nuts. Alright, hold on. I mean, this is not great podcasting and doing me no favours in proving my point. Right, hold on. It's when he first reappears. Right. Right. Right, yeah. So it's about 9:20, and he kind of goes, "Yeah." It could be a growl, but I think he's
I'm looking at the text for that moment here because I was able to search Stephen's dialogue to find the moment. So in the transcript, it says, "Lion, you didn't come here to steal the pillow. You came here to protect us from it." And it says, "Lion growls in agreement."
Yeah. So watch the moment for yourself. See what you think. So it's about 9:20.
Let's see. I can hear it clearer at 9:20. Let's see. There we go. Oh, my version's fucking up. Here we go. Oh, come on. Mine won't even skip through forward for some reason. This is great podcasting, Chris. Do you ever think we're bad at this and no one should listen?
Well, I think listeners should go to 9:20 in the episode and see what they think.
Right, should we make that a thing in the bottom then? I'm saying it's a sort of a roar, like a sort of.
I'm saying it's a yeah kind of roar.
Right. Yeah. I'm not feeling it. Okay, I'm also having trouble identifying the like. Basically, I streamed it from the location we have it stored using a service that I shan't name unless they want to pay us for advertising their service.
I think it's fairly obvious, but carry on.
What's that, sorry?
I think the location we have it stored is fairly, but carry on.
Hey, there is several providers of boxes you drop files in are available.
Right.
And it won't let. It's basically I don't have the file actually on my computer. I have it sort of like streamed from there.
Okay.
And it's basically not letting me skip forward to that moment at the moment for some reason.
Well, okay. Well, let us know what you guys think. But I think the transcript's got it right. I think he roars in agreement. I really do. And anyway, point is, he doesn't do anything like that ever again.
I mean, he's roared a few times since or made noises.
He roars, but he doesn't like. In my he's not done anything that's like my interpretation of that moment.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it depends how much it sounds like words or whether it just is an agreeing tone. If it's just an agreeing tone, I think they've done some sub stuff like that before. But if it's literally the word yes, that's where you lose me.
I think it's literally, to me, it's yeah. That's my interpretation.
Right. Well, in terms of what I thought the episode, which is where we were when that went mad. I think it's solid. I was a little disappointed because it's a show that's usually good at laying little hints and clues at where it's going, and there's been so much stuff around Lion. The fact that there isn't a single, just tiny little hint to that Lion belonged to Rose, or that Lion somehow knew Stephen, or that maybe Pearl somehow recognized Lion, or I mean, to be honest with you, Pearl not knowing that Lion belonged to Rose I think he's going to ultimately end up being a plot point, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, that was bizarre as well. Yeah, the fact that the other three didn't recognize him at all.
Yeah, because when Stephen explains at a later time, about the Lars situation, and therefore that Lion must have been connected to Rose in more ways than they initially thought. Like, Pearl literally reacts and doesn't. If memory serves, Pearl reacts quite negatively to that idea, isn't she? A bit like, well, she never told me about Lion or something like that. I think there's a reaction of that sort to it. I don't remember her owning a lion or whatever. So I find that really strange. This show that's got such great attention to detail, but it's not really fair to judge an episode for not having a hint to the future of the show in it. I think that is a bit mean. I've got the sound. Do you want me to play it? How determined are you for me to agree with you?
No, I'm intrigued.
All right, let's have a listen. I've got it.
Lion!
Here we go.
You didn't come here to steal the pillow. You came here to protect us from it.
I mean, it does sound like he's going, yeah.
Yeah, it's someone with a sore throat agreeing.
Yeah, that is I mean, yeah, that does sound a lot more like words than I remember it sounding, but yeah, all right, fair enough. You got me there.
Glad you agree.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to agree with that, but I think, but yeah, thoughts below. Does lion speak in sort of growly lion voice? Can lions speak English? Because that's the real question we have to ask ourselves now. Yeah, so I think that it's not really fair to judge the episode on that. So as an episode in itself, you kind of actually nailed it in the original podcast. Do you want to hear what you said originally?
I would love to.
It's the one that introduces the lion. Fine.
Oh, that's really accurate.
I mean, it's literally like, you've got some other things that I want to bring up in a minute, but like, yeah, you do sort of like nail it. Like you had fun watching it, and you very much compliment the episode. You say, "Oh, it's fun to watch." There's some really good jokes. That you complimented the animation originally as well, which you were like, for me, that's something, because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about when it comes to animation or something to that effect. You sort of pointed out your novice sort of position in relation to animation, and therefore the fact that you noticed it was good animation is probably quite a strong thumbs up. But you equally had the sort of the comment that it didn't really do a lot. In fact, you had a really interesting one that I think is worth bringing up a little bit earlier. Well, we might as well do your comments now, because there are only about 2 or 3 of them, and this one I think potentially.
And also we have nothing else to say on the episode other than it's the one that introduces the line. So yeah, what did I say before?
Well, what I found, this is an interesting one, because I don't know if I 100% agree with this, but there is some truth to it. You said, what's weird about it? He literally just gets a lion. No one really learns anything. No one goes through any growth or life lessons. It's enjoyable, but it's weird. Episodes are usually like, this is the point of the episode. This is what Stephen learned. This is what they learned about Stephen. But this is literally, Stephen gets a lion. Don't know how I feel about that, because I think my response at the time, and my partial response now, is the arc is that he gets the lion because he immediately assumes a friendship bond that he hasn't actually built with the lion yet. And then when he thinks that maybe lion is there because of the gem, he gets upset and then finds out that no, lion does like him, and then he's happy again. But is that an arc? Is that a plot?
Well, that's also. I don't think that's a lesson learned. I think, Stephen, if you did a plot if the next episode we see has a new gem appear, and visit Stephen in his room, and Stephen just assumes they're best friends, I wouldn't call that out of character. So
no,
I don't think he learns anything.
I think as well. I think I was not only responding to that, but I think an expanded version of your quote. I think you did mention that it doesn't have like a to B like plot, like an arc.
Right. I think that's wrong. But the quote that you read,
yeah,
I think
I've
it's probably
realised that
fair.
now. Yeah,
I think that's probably still fair. But I think the reality is there's nothing wrong. And to be fair, the episode is called Stephen's Line. There's nothing wrong with it being the episode where Stephen gets a line. But I suppose when compared to the other 9. That kind of makes sense. But but it's difficult, isn't it? It's weird how things change, because now I'd fucking love a Stephen Gets a Lion episode, I think. Like, now it would be a good break from the the madness of the arc stuff. Well, actually not right now. Right now I want more arc and more answers, but more mythology, sorry, not arc.
Yeah, I think we've positioned the show as of this episode, as of Legs from Here to Homeworld. We've positioned the show in a place where you cannot move forward now without doing some arc stuff before returning to stories like Stephen Gets a Lion. I think. Yeah, well,
I'd make the assumption that the next start typing, Cram, that the next episode where we get that sort of towny story of the week style episode, I would assume that will be us finding out what happens with Bismuth, Lapis, and Peridot on Earth.
Yeah. And I can't decide when we get that now, because are we trapped in the arc now until end of Battle of Heart and Mind? Seems that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I want essentially 7, but 7 new ones, but 8 episodes if you're including legs, of pure arc stuff. That might be quite a lot to take in, especially because we've just come off the back of Reunited and that bomb, Heart of the Crystal Gems bomb.
I think you know what it is. I think it's Battle of Heart and Mind is the anomaly and makes it all seem that theory that Battle of Heart and Mind is working in the same way as Wanted. It just makes it so bizarre because it suggests bomb with a bomb at the end.
Yeah. Well, there is a bit of a gap. There is a bit of a gap between the end of Diamond Days and that. There's 2 weeks, I think. And on top of that, it's worth noting that if they do release the Diamond Days episodes on the app as of which I suppose by the time you're listening to this, you'll know if they've done that or not, which is weird because this goes up on the 18th. So,
God, imagine if people were expecting to tune in to hear us. Oh no, because it would be expecting to tune in to hear us dissect an episode, and it's just us dicking about, pausing and unpausing like Stephen's line to hear if he roars or not.
Words. So this is on the 18th, like theoretically, unless an episode drops and we decide to try and squeeze a last minute podcast in to hit a new episode airing.
Which would entirely depend on when and how they drop, but yeah.
Yeah. There's a million factors to whether we'd be able to hit that deadline or not. Otherwise, it would probably be the Thursday, which would mean this would go up on the 18th, the Tuesday as normal, and then the Friday, the Thursday, the 20th would be the first episode of that would be familiar. But anyway, if they drop those episodes on the 20th, sorry, not 20th, sorry, the 17th, then it's a month apart because no one's watching them on TV. Not really. Like a handful of people watch them on TV, not over Christmas. So,
but that doesn't change. That's
one bomb in the middle of December and one bomb in the middle of January.
But that doesn't change the point, which is that there's a lot of it. It doesn't feel like they're going to go back to a story of the week or a town episode
because I don't know, and I don't know how you could at this point. And in a weird way, I understand how it's gotten like that because of course, at a certain point, there was always going to be a tipping point when the mythology story and the arc got so heavy, you simply could not make any excuse that would be valid enough to take them out of the situation they're in. Like how there's just no, I've always said these writers could make almost anything work, but with Stephen just having met White Diamond, if Lars shows up at the beginning of the next episode and Stephen goes, "Okay, guys, I'll be back in a bit," and then he goes into Lars's head and comes out back on Earth out a lion and just like has a towny episode, and then at the end of it gets back into lion and comes back out in the middle of the diamond shit and like, okay, what's going on? You simply can't excuse that. Like there's no possible way to make that work at this stage.
But they kind of have done it before. I want to get back to Stephen's line in a minute, but they've kind of done that before with we had him dicking about with Connie and the mayor instead of visiting Lars, who was dicking about in space, and people hated that. Like, trailers aside of us knowing we were eventually going to go back to Lars and how he would be, it certainly annoyed me viewing it without having seen that trailer that we weren't immediately going back to Lars. So they've kind of done it already.
Yeah, but I think they managed to. You could make some vague excuses for that. I just don't know how you could excuse the situation now. There's no getting around it now. They've not trapped themselves, but it's a bit like it's picked up enough momentum and it's rolling downhill hard enough now that there just is no slowing it down. Like I don't know how you slow it down until you resolve a certain amount of what's been going on. There has to be at least some sort of middle ground now, where Stephen can, while the situation isn't resolved, he's made some sort of tentative agreement with the diamonds, and they're allowing him to go back home before we can get that stuff. Or he escapes at least, and we're back to that situation of tension where there's a threat looming, but it's not there, so they're fine. Like you gotta get the only way you're gonna get Townie episodes now is if you do that. So looking, it's so in a weird way, it's nice we're doing these revisits because it's like is it nice to just sort of remember when the show could just do Steven gets a lion and it's funny, and Ronaldo says something funny and there's a mild sort of I get that it's like, oh, it's going to build a big castle on our beach or whatever, but like that's not the biggest threat in the world, is it?
No, but it's fun. It's fun, like you say, for that to be a fun little threat. So what else then did I say in the original episode of this?
This one I just didn't agree with at the time and don't really agree with now, but it's quite funny when you were just like, he talks to Lion like he's in a relationship, break it up. Yeah, it's cute and funny once. Don't do it loads throughout the episode though. Gets a bit weird.
I didn't feel that way watching it now, but I understand the comment, but I didn't get that vibe this time.
No. And then the other one, which I thought was quite good, which we've talked about before, I think, because it came back up then when Lion reappeared. But you were sort of talking about how you can't have him in it every week. You just can't. He can't just have a Lion every week now. They have to use him sort of sparingly. And that's exactly what they did. Lion doesn't show up again for a handful of episodes. I assume Lion 3 or Lion 2, the movie, whatever it's called. I think that's the next major appearance of Lion, so that's like 7 episodes.
Yeah, I think it is. I think they do like a trilogy. I don't even do 4, and then he just from like the kind of Connie becoming badass arc, he's then in it more. That is an interesting point, though. Like, how much is Lion's role? Because if Lion's role is to protect Steve, like Lion's role can't particularly be to protect Steven, can it? Because he would be there every week. So where do you think? And he wouldn't have gone off with Connie. So
I think,
where do you think Lion stands in all of that?
Well, see, I think it's interesting because there's a lot of people thinking that Lion has some sort of like very specific instruction sort of mission he's carrying out. I think it's less direct than that. I think it's the impression I get is that Lion's fondness for Rose and willingness to do Rose's bidding has sort of continued with Steven. In Lion 2, Steven asks him to, like, he doesn't ask him for training directly, but he sort of wishes he could be better skilled, and then Lion takes him to the armory, or something in that vein. So Lion is simply just still serving Rose, and I don't think it's any more complicated than that in terms of Lion's intentions, because I think a lot of people have talked about, like, oh, Rose gave Lion a secret mission, and he's guiding Steven towards this or this. I don't think so. I think the closest evidence you have of that is in Lion 3 or 4, straight to video, whichever one's titled straight to video, the one with the Nora tape. Oh no, actually, it's not that one. It's the one where Lion keeps lying on Steven to get him to go into his main so he could find the original video. It's 3 straight to video. It's the one where he sees the first message from Rose, not the Nora video, the original video. And that's the closest you could say to, like, Lion. But maybe Lion's just doing that because, like, Steven, wants to know more about his mum. And, like, Lion senses that and once again is following his master's orders.
Well, I think Steven,
not some weird order
says it
from the past. Not some weird order Rose gave Lion to eventually show Steven the inside the thing. Steven literally says, I wish I knew more about her. And Lion's like, great, okay, I can make that happen, and just like lies on him until he goes into his main. Like, I think that, I understand where the impulse comes from for people to say, like, oh, that Lion is acting on some mega master plan that Rose put in place. I don't think so, though, personally.
That's a fair comment. Yeah, I think you've argued that well. I think that he's a pet. Sometimes he's bothered, sometimes he's not.
Yeah, and I do think he is the key to some stuff in that he's linked heavily to a potentially secret part of Rose's past. Pearl not being familiar with Lion sort of suggests there's still yet an element of Rose we're not familiar with. There's something else.
Which kind of says, what was Pearl doing and how did she get away from Pearl when she was dicking about meeting explorers in the desert with shitloads of lions?
Yeah, exactly.
Because she's not in that either. Pearl's not described when we see the explorer who looked like Jamie. When we see that flashback of him meeting Rose and the lions, Pearl's not there.
Serves timing-wise though, that's post-war. So that's when they're just sort of hanging out on Earth, like, catching corrupted gems. So could be that Rose just, was like, I'm off for the afternoon, popped off when they were still living at the Crystal Temple.
Yeah, and at that point, Pearl no longer is her servant, is her Pearl.
Precisely, so she wouldn't have necessarily followed her around everywhere. But the point stands, though. What was she up to that she didn't confide in Pearl or Garnet or Amethyst? Like she was up to something. And I think there was a comment in a podcast where Rebecca Sugar said there was still some information left for us to learn about Rose that would clarify some things.
Maybe she had a plan to uncorrupt the gems.
And what Lion was some sort of experiment.
I don't know. I don't know, but maybe she must have been working towards something, and the logical goal she would have would be, out of guilt or whatever, would be to uncorrupt the corrupted gems. Because she wouldn't want to get home. She wouldn't want to get back to Homeworld. She doesn't want to do anything connected to her life as Pink Diamond. So unless it's enhancing the Earth, maybe somehow.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I also did she know she could do that, or like Steven, did it happen by accident because something she loved died and she shed a tear, or as some theorize, spat on him because she had healing tears and Steven has healing spit. So if his tears can bring people back from the dead, people are assuming her spit could just reverse the powers. It's weird logic, but there you go.
Yeah. She immediately is like, well, we've got dinner, but the minute she goes to bite him, the saliva hits and he turns into Pink Line.
So I don't know what she was up to. I think you might be along the... Actually, I think there is maybe going to be something about that. Thinking about it, maybe Rose was working on something to save maybe Gem Homeworld or Earth in itself, and it's something that ultimately, a mission of some sort that Steven will ultimately need to finish.
Or she knows that at some point Homeworld's going to come back, so she's trying to build an army or put something in place that will protect the Earth.
I think put something in place that will protect the Earth is more feasible than build an army. I feel like once she'd been through the rebellion and stuff and seen everyone die at the hands of the Diamonds, essentially, go corrupted at the hands of the Diamonds, I feel like she might have been quite... I get the sense she'd have been anti-start another war.
If there's a big gap in the timeline, also, where did she originally keep bubbled bismuth? There's a gap between the end of the world and Lion being created. Bismuth must have been somewhere else for a bit.
Yeah, that's a fair point, because we assume that when Jamie's ancestor, the explorer, or was he not Jamie's ancestor, but he was imagined as Jamie? I can't remember the exact context of that.
He was imagined as Jamie's ancestor.
Right. So when the explorer buddy, when he met Rose, if that was as we expect, significantly after the war, because the war happened thousands of years ago, whatever, and Lion wasn't Lion yet in the sense of he wasn't pink and wasn't a space. Yeah, where was she storing bismuth? Was bismuth in the burning room? With all the other corrupted gems bubbled. And then if that's the case, why move bismuth?
And did
oh
bismuth...
no, she couldn't have left bismuth in the burning room because the other gems would have seen her. The other gems she basically told them that bismuth was dead.
Did she at some point unpoof Bismuth and they have another conversation after the war? I know, because Bismuth didn't know the war had ended, did he?
I think...
Or did she, sorry?
I think it's possible. You know that space that Stephen found where the leg ship was kept? When he had the key, but the walls were all knocked down.
Yeah.
And maybe when that was fully existing, maybe that was just like Rose's little private space out in the desert, and she had stuff like all the stuff that she ended up storing in Lion was originally stored there, and then she moved it all into Lion when the walls came down or whatever.
Was there food for thought? Was there anything else in the trivia that we couldn't discuss last time that we can now?
Let us have a look. There was trivia, and I've fucking closed it because I'm an idiot. Why would I do that?
God damn it, Dan.
I know. I'm a bloody idiot. Here we are. Right. A 3-week hiatus occurred after this episode. Fucking hell, lucky you, past.
Oh, 3 weeks? Oh, poor thing.
Jesus. Fucking hell.
Do we get longer hiatuses than that in the future? Yeah.
When Stephen
really
told
wanted to do that impression again.
it's a good impression.
Thanks, mate.
When Stephen told Ronaldo that Lion was pink, he replied, "How can it be invisible and pink? This is a reference to Invisible Pink Unicorn, which is a sort of spaghetti monster style fake religion thing."
Oh, right. Sorry, I laughed then, thinking it was an obscure random cartoon. I didn't mean to laugh at anyone's religion.
It's like it's a fake religion. It's like a joke religion.
Oh, right.
It's a parody religion, like the flying spaghetti monster.
Right.
The idea being that it can't be invisible and pink, or it can be, but you wouldn't know it was pink if it was invisible. It's kind of it's intentionally paradoxical, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. It's I've just looked it up. It's a contemporary version of Russell's teapot.
I feel this entire point, I feel like, has been you wanting to discuss it further, and me just being like, "You're just saying words."
No, I'm learning about it as we're recording, because I clicked the link to see the picture that the image for Invisible Pink Unicorn, which is sort of an opaque pink unicorn symbol, and then as I was doing that, there was more text, and I was learning more about it as we were. As I was discussing it, and this was just me becoming vaguely interested in it live, on podcast. And I would argue, Chris, that is at least somewhat relevant to our discussion, unlike somebody's distraction from last week. Just saying.
Hey, Avengers trailer drops. You're gonna be excited, aren't you?
Anyway, the title is a potential reference to the 1977 Disney film Pete's Dragon. Probably true.
Yeah.
On Ronaldo's laptop, the picture he took of Stephen in cat fingers is seen.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I think that's a good little nod. I would have. I think I would have skipped or not referenced that in the original discussion of Stephen's line, because I referenced it once and it was one of your strongest reactions to my use of the phrase cat fingers. It was quite angry. It was shown that Onion hates to be lied to here. This can also be seen in Political Power.
Oh, yeah. That bit was brilliant. That really made me laugh on the rewatch. I probably didn't quite understand Onion's character enough to find that funny the first time.
Yeah.
But on the rewatch, that really made me chuckle.
It's funny how these things work in retrospect sometimes, when you know the characters a bit more. It's a bit like how when some of these rewatches we found certain jokes and certain ideas work better in retrospect because you sort of, once you know the characters, it sort of makes more sense.
Yeah, like I'd have really laughed more at the Ronaldo thing, but I really remembered that moment, so I didn't laugh as much because I kind of had thought of that moment beyond it. But the Onion one, I hadn't remembered that at all, so I found that really funny when rewatching it.
That's fair. Yeah, apparently this can also be seen in Political Power when he's about to assault Bill Dewey for lying about a power outage. I don't remember that, but that's funny. Garnet's ending line, "We kept Amethyst," besides applying to her comparatively wild behavior indicates Amethyst joined the crystal gems after the others. This is confirmed in On the Run. So
that was a nice hint, actually, wasn't it? That was a little bit
I didn't
of
think
laying
about
the
that.
groundwork.
But I brought this up in the Discord because I am not sure how in character that is for Garnet. I feel like if they'd done that joke today, Garnet would have been like, "We kept Amethyst," and then she'd wink and point at Amethyst.
Yeah, I think I said that earlier on. Like, it did jar, that joke. It felt odd, and it was. I was told it was a really funny joke.
It's Garnet's
And
lack of acknowledging that it's a joke could come across as Garnet not meaning it as a joke. That's the problem, I think.
Well, but I also think the Pearl's reaction is really over the top as well.
Yeah, but that's. I mean, I don't know if that's out of character.
That's
for
not
Pearl.
as out of character.
yeah. But yeah, so that was pretty strange. So I'm not sure how I felt about that. The response, generally speaking, from the Discord, from the handful of people. Should I quickly look up what they said?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I want to take a sec. Let's have a quick look. Let's see. Amethyst's reaction is quite laid back. English Giraffe points out. Maybe the scene was created without On the Run in mind. Yeah. But yeah, apparently Amethyst's reaction sort of quite casually sort of makes it feel less mean because she's sort of not in on the joke as such, but not bothered by it at least. And at this point, someone points out that Pearl was not really aware of Amethyst's insecurity regarding her origins, because that's the reason I suppose it feels a bit mean in context as well, because we know that Amethyst is a bit insecure about where she comes from compared to the other gems. So making a gag about it feels really insensitive. But I suppose maybe she hadn't really expressed that to the other two yet. And apparently,
That's a fair argument.
According to Anthony, on the podcast, the crew have said they didn't actually 100% know Amethyst's backstory when they wrote that. It was just a coincidence.
Blimey.
Well, there you go.
That's crazy.
That is. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go.
There we go.
Anyway,
that's.
I was just looking down. I was looking down to see if anyone else had made any comments about it, but.
Oh, don't lie, Dan. You were checking if there was a new Avengers trailer.
Yeah, the three people. Actually, I should credit the third person who posted the picture around this reaction, which is Hacksaw Unit. 3 people contributed when I asked about that question. So there you go. I credited them all. Cool. There you go.
So there we go. Bizarre rewatch. This is the first rewatch we've done where I've kind of ended up going, we maybe didn't need to rewatch that one. My bad.
Yeah, but I don't think. But I don't think that came out of nowhere though. I think we've said in the past that Steven's line would be a good one, because if we're gonna watch Bubble Buddies, Connie's introduction, Lion's introduction makes sense too. So I think in the past we've established that it would probably be a good idea. Maybe not quite remembering how little the episode actually has to do with anything that follows.
It's one of those on reflection things, and I guess that's the point of the rewatch as well. Like, that's not that we're okay to come to that conclusion. Yeah. But I was surprised by that. It's a shame in a way, because where do you draw the line? Because I'd quite like to rewatch the other immediate Lion ones as well. But
yeah, no, I think we probably will watch the other Lion ones. But I know that the next one we're going to watch when we do a rewatch is going to be Giant Woman for sure.
Yeah, I'm very aware that this is episode 10 of the show, and we've done what? We did all 3 of the first at 3, Bubble Buddies, Cat Fingers, this, so we've done 6 of 10.
I think as we go forward, it'll space slowly more and more.
Yeah,
we'll jump more and more.
Yeah, but
these early episodes are the most interesting to do rewatches of, because they're the most different to what we end up with.
But can we rewatch just key episodes of Bombs, or like Wanted, for example? Will we rewatch the whole arc?
I don't think we'd rewatch right through that far. I think the rewatches are going to be focused on the early episodes, because there's no point in rewatching. Because also keep in mind, we didn't do full discussions of these early episodes, did we? We did 20 minutes at most. This one was 17 minutes.
Yeah, but I think you can't make any calls, Dan, because that depends on the length of the hiatuses.
We'll find something else to do once we've done rewatches. But there's still a handful of key episodes that are worth going back to. So we'll continue to do that as long as people are interested in us doing it. But yeah, thanks very much for listening, everyone. As always, you're the best. Happy new Steven Universe week for those of you. If we've put this out, as I expect we will, on the 17th, happy either just legs from here to Homeworld Day, so happy Disappointment Day, or happy they just put the rest of Diamond Days on the app day. One or the other.
Yeah.
We'll see. You're either a week away from new episodes, and I've just teased you very cruelly, or they just dropped 3 brand new ones. So fingers crossed for the second of those.
Yeah, hopefully.
But otherwise, yeah, thanks very much for listening as always, everyone. You can get us on all the usual places. Nothing but static on Twitter without the G, so it's nothing but static. Mail at nothingbutstatic.co.uk. The Nothing But Static website is not been updated in months. Don't bother. There's a Facebook page, also not been updated in months. Don't bother. You can obviously get us here on the YouTube channel, Nothing But Static UK, or so if you subscribe to this on iTunes, go over to the YouTube channel and subscribe to our channel. And if you listen to this through YouTube, go subscribe or give us a review on like iTunes or Google or wherever you get podcasts. The reviews mean a lot. We had a great one a couple of weeks ago that just said, "Not bad. This podcast is not bad. Best review ever."
I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, that's all that stuff. So I've been Dan Doolan.
I've been Chris
And
Billingham.
we'll speak to you next week as we discuss something else, possibly new episodes, possibly disappointment.